Hark! What was that, sir?
Why, an arquebus fired from the wharf, unless I much mistake.
Strange, and at such an hour. What can it mean?
Now what can that be? Hushed up so late at night, enough to cause a fight. What can the moment mean?
A woman in the land is London to be read.
The land is London to be read.
Expect what danger is.
Expect what danger is at hand. What danger is at hand?
Who fired that shot? At once the truth declare. My lord, 'twas I, to rashly judge, forbear.
My lord, 'twas he, to rashly judge, forbear.
Like a ghost is video keeping.
Or a spectre all appalling.
I beheld a figure creeping.
I should rather call it crawling.
He was creeping.
He was crawling.
He was creeping.
Crawling.
He was creeping.
He was crawling.
He was creeping.
Crawling.
Without a moment's hesitation, I myself upon him flung, with a hurried exclamation to his draper as I hung. Then we closed with one another in a rough and tumble smother. Colonel Pepex and no other was the man to whom I clung.
Pepex and no other, Colonel Pepex and no other, Colonel Pepex and no other was the man to whom he clung.
After mighty tug and tussle,
It resembled more a struggle.
we by dint of stronger muscle,
Or by some infernal juggle.
upon my clutches quickly slide,
I should rather call it slipping.
with the view no doubt of hiding.
Or escaping to the shipping.
With a gasp and with a quiver,
Describe it as a shiver.
down he dived into the river, and alas, I cannot swim.
Enough to make one shiver with a castle with a quiver. Down he dived into the river. 'Tis very brave of him.
Ingenuity is catching with the vim making a pleasing arquebus from petty snatching.
I should rather call it seizing.
With an ounce or two of lead, I dispatched him to the head.
With an ounce or two of lead, he dispatched him to the head.
I discharged it without winking. Little time I lost in thinking. Like a stone I saw him sinking.
I should say a lump of lead.
Discharged without winking, little time he lost in thinking.
Like a stone I saw him sinking.
I should say a lump of lead.
Like a stone by his head.
Like a heavy lump of lead.
Like a stone by his head.
Like a heavy lump of lead.
Anyhow the man is dead, where the stone and lump of lead.
Anyhow the man is dead, and where the stone and lump of lead. Arquebus and sentry seizing, with the view is king of pleasing. Arquebus and sentry seizing, with the view is king of pleasing. With a shot into the head, and he's very, very dead. And it matters very little where the stone and lump of lead. He's very, very sad, and he's very, very dead.
Lead! Oh!
A river must be dragged, no time be lost. A body must be found at any cost. To this attend without undue delay. So set to work with what dispatch he may.
Yes, yes, we'll set to work with what dispatch we may.
This Fairfax was but a pestilent fellow, and as he had to die, he might as well die thus as any other way. 'Twas a good death.
Still, he was my husband, and had he not been, he was nevertheless a living man. And now he is dead. And so, by your leave, my tears may flow unchidden, Master Point.
And you saw all this?
Aye, with both eyes at once, this and that.
But are you sure it was Colonel Fairfax? Did you see his face?
Aye. And a plaguey, ill-favoured face it was too. A hangdog face. A felon face. A face fit to fright the headsman himself and make him strike awry. Oh, a plaguey bad face, take my word for it. How they laugh. 'Tis ever thus with simple folk. An accepted wit has but to say, pass the mustard, and they roar their ribs out.
If ever I come to life again, you shall pay for this, Master Point.
Well, now, Elsie, you're free to choose again. So, behold me. I'm young, well-favoured. I have a pretty wit. I can jest you, jibe you, quip you, crank you, rack you, ruddy you.
Tush, man, you know not how to woo. It is not to be done with time-worn jests, with quips, conundrums, rhymes, and paradoxes. It is an art in itself, and must be studied gravely and conscientiously. A man would woo a fair maid, should prentice himself to the trade, and study all day in a methodical way how to flatter, cajole, and persuade. He should prentice himself at 14, and practice from morning to e'en. And when he's of age, if he will not engage, he may capture the heart of a queen, the heart of a queen.
It is purely a matter of skill, which all may attain if they will. But every Jackie must study the neck if he wants to make sure of his G. If he wants to make sure of his G.
If he's made the best use of his time, his twig he so carefully lime, that every bird will come down at his word, whatever its plumage or climb. He must learn that the thrill of a touch may mean little or nothing or much. It's an instrument rare to be handled with care, and ought to be treated as such. Ought to be treated as such.
It is purely a matter of skill, which all may attain if they will. But every Jackie must study the neck if he wants to make sure of his G. If he wants to make sure of his G.
Then a glance may be timid or free. It will vary in mighty degree, from an impudent stare to a look of despair that no maid without pity can see. And a glance of despair is no guide. It may have its ridiculous side. It may draw you a tear or a box on the ear. You can never be sure till you've tried. Never be sure till you've tried.
It is purely a matter of skill, which all may attain if they will. But every Jackie must study the neck if he wants to make sure of his G. If he wants to make sure of his G. But every Jack must study the neck. But every Jack must study the neck if he wants to make sure of his G. Yes, every Jack must study the neck if he wants to make sure of his G.